Is that too loud? Okay.
Good evening, my friends. Welcome to the show. I am obviously Lou Mangello, not in the home studio nor in Walt Disney World. Stop trying to figure out where in the world I am tonight because I'm on location, as it were, because tonight is going to be a very special evening because we have a very special guest. By the way, if you're watching live, sit back, relax, grab a snack. The kitchen's right over there. Invite a friend, tag them in the comments because tonight we're going to do something. And now for something completely different. Tonight we have a special guest who, if you have been a friend of the show for some time, he is an old timer. And I don't mean that in he is an old timer. I mean he has been on the show multiple times, going back to the very, very old days. And rather than me just, let me just do this a little bit here. Rather than me just tell you about him, let me get him over here so he can tell you about himself. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, put your hands together, raise your arms in the air like you just don't care. The most talented artist, and this is what the cue cards say, I'm supposed to say, the most talented artist in all of the Disney company, Mr. Brian Blackmore.
Oh, it'll be a nice check for you later on.
Thank you. Ron Coley told me to say that, so I just do whatever Ron says to do. It is so good to, first of all, thank you so much for having me, for inviting me into your home. I've been sitting outside in the bushes for weeks, just waiting, knocking on the door.
Yeah, we've been calling the police, but there hasn't been.
Yeah, I'm small and sprightly. I can just, I can avoid them. But seriously, we have known each other. We were talking about this we'd had dinner, of course. Mm-hmm. A lovely pastrami sandwich, so good, lean. Anyway, I get easily distracted. We have known each other literally since the very beginning. I think you were the very first interview I ever did at all for the show.
Yeah, that was when you had Mouse Tunes. And it was Alex Mayer and myself.
Who?
Alex.
We don't say that name.
We met you, and you're the radio partner at that time, a podcast partner, over at the Barnes & Noble over here in Dr. Phillips.
I still remember, I lived in Jersey. I remember flying down. I was so nervous. Because you're an intimidating guy. I was very nervous.
Well, I'm glad you're not intimidated right now.
Not at all. I'm very comfortable. I'm full of pastrami, so I'm all good. But yeah, so we did that interview, my very first interview of you and the other guy, and then we did this. We were just saying, I can't believe it was 7 years ago.
Yeah, for the How to Draw Mickey.
Yeah, we were in, I want to call it Disney Springs. It was downtown Disney, over by Wolfgang Puck's. I remember the brick was behind us, and you brought a special friend with you.
Yes, a little green friend, Kermit the Frog. But I also remember the buses, too. You could hear the buses.
It was not very well planned out. We thought we were sort of off to the side.
Though. It was cozy.
It was lovely. And but you were on this show, back on show 115. I had done top 10 things to do in Walt Disney World when it rains. Welcome to summer. And that was in April 2009.
I don't know where the time has gone. In fact, just the other day I realized I started freelancing for the company in 1990, and I just turned 60 this past February, and I'm thinking I spent nearly half my life with Disney now, and it's been a joy every day. Sure, it's stressful at times. I think every job is, but it's been a joy. It really, really has, and I've seen so many things that have occurred over the last 29 years with the company, a lot of good things, and just I've been seeing more talented people join the company, and of course watching the birth of your show, and from the very, very beginning, and you've turned into a great show. I love how positive that you are in talking about Disney. You just don't find that in too many podcasts nowadays, Lou.
Well, look, it's who I am, and first of all, thank you. Your check is also in the mail. It's who I am.
Blackmore.
Cohee. Got it. I'm a very positive person in my day-to-day life, and I think what happens sometimes, and not sort of go off topic, but I think people forget why they come to this place, and whether they blog about it or podcast about it or do videos about it. We do it, hopefully, I think, out of a love of this place. And at the end of the day, we do it because this place brings us joy. And I will always find the positive, right? I will always find the the silver lining in the cloud, especially when it comes to something like this. Why would you want to focus? Sure, there's negative things that happen, and not everything is perfect, but I still want this to be something that makes me smile, that gives me pleasure, that brings joy into my life. So yeah, I am going to always focus on,
Well, that's why you have such a great podcast. It's number one for the last 8 or 9 years in a row, because of the fact that you. And this sounds like a really big plug here for it, but it's true. I've always enjoyed the fact when you did Mouse Tunes, everybody in the office, all the guys, would look forward to it on Monday morning. I think you would record it on Sunday night, and then you and Nathan you were on different sides of the coast. You were up in Jersey and he was down in Florida, and then you guys would do that. And every Monday, I looked forward to listening to that podcast. It was a lot of fun. Really
and I still remember being blown away that, first of all, that anybody listened, but that anybody from the company was listening. Like, it was so incredibly validating to me. And we talked about this at dinner. I'm going through menopause. I'm an emotional wreck lately, so I'm crying at the drop of a hat. But you've always been so nice to me and so incredibly kind and supportive, whether it was seeing you in person or sometimes you would just send me a note, be like, wow, I really liked the show this week. Was playing it with the guys in the office. Like, that means the world to me. And sometimes when things get hard, that's the things that you think about is hopefully having that positive impact on someone.
Well, you've got a great support staff amongst us, the guys at work, even after all these years. When you did the Galaxy's End video, I actually stopped working to watch the video.
Did you punch out first? Did you punch out while you were watching?
No, what I did was I have a Cintiq computer and I have my Apple computer, iMac, and I made your video large screen, and I sat there and I just watched it. And if anyone came into my office and would say, hey, what are you doing? Well, I'm doing research. I'm watching. Because I got to tell you, a lot of times I learn more by watching your show than I do from within the company.
I still remember the first time. So we had met at Barnes & Noble's, like you said, across the street. Mm-hmm. And then you had invited us to your offices, which at the time were the old animation buildings backstage at Disney's Hollywood Studios. Mm-hmm. Every part about that, was mine. I couldn't believe, one, that I was backstage and I was going to see where the artists worked. And I still remember, I can see your office like it was yesterday, at least in my mind's eye. Walking in, and your desk was there, and I saw the window, and you had your shelves with, your sort of little cubbies. And I remember looking over at the garbage pail.
Oh, yeah.
And there were all these drawings, and I'm going, Nathan, look at the stuff that's in the garbage. Like, it's gold. What are these people doing? Because that's what it was. I mean, I couldn't believe that, but you had actually talked about how, well, this wasn't perfect, and the eyes weren't just right. And I loved and continued to be impressed about how, and I know all of you do this, but you take what you do so very seriously. Right?
Sure, absolutely.
In that the details are so important, and it makes me think, and I know you're a big fan of Walt the Man, that trickle-down effect from a man that you never met in terms of the importance of every detail for every single guest, every single time, and you do not compromise that at all.
No, I think, well, first of all, thank you. That's a general feeling, I believe, that's in the department, and even with the younger people coming on, they've got this feeling too about that. And it's not so much about us personally, it's by what we do, because there are people that come to our parks that will save up their money for a long time, and they'll bring grandpa and grandma here, or mom and dad, or they're even their own children. And the items that they see that we help develop, those are the things that they take back with them wherever they come from. And let's be honest, Disney World, they come from all over the world here. And it helps solidify those memories and those feelings. I have things that I still have in my possession that when I look at that book, in fact, it's a Disneyland book, my sister had bought it for me. I think I was about 14 years old. She made a trip out to California. And it was a Disneyland book, and it was probably only about this thick, and it was written by an Imagineer by the name of Martin Sklar. And so, believe it or not, I still had that book, and years later, I was going to an event over at Imagineering, and Marty happened to be in town, and I brought that book over to him, and I asked him to sign it, and he did. And again, that's in my collectibles in my office here at the house.
Can you tell me exactly where it is? Just so while you're drawing, I know exactly
I
where
have
to
my
go.
daughter over here. She's going to make sure that you don't go anywhere around this house. No, but like for example, I had the Villains book, and I had Frank and Ollie sign it, and
Wow.
Mark Davis and Ward Kimball, and I had Glenn Keane draw a beast in it for me. Uh, these to me are keepsakes. I don't think of them as being something valuable to someone outside of me, but they are perceived as something valuable to other people. I love it for the fact that I've talked and got to know these people, and it was quite a thrill for me, because you think of them being that much. They were hired by Walt Disney, so when you talk with them, you feel almost like you're talking with Walt.
And when you talk about the word Disney legend, it's not just a title that's given to people at Expo and every single year. These are true legends of,
Yes.
of art and animation.
Oh, yes.
And their contributions to the company, beyond just the confines of the companies, the
Mhm.
contributions to pop culture. And as of you, because you're I call you Disney artist, and I want to have 5 asterisks after that, because you are, I think, a lot more than that. Very quickly, succinctly, like you got 30,
Okay.
you got a minute and a half.
Got a minute and a half. Clock's ticking.
Right. Tell us your story in terms of how you got from wee little Brian Blackmore Disney fan to Brian Blackmore superstar, rock star, whatever, however you prefer to be described.
Well, it all started back in Massachusetts. I think at age 5 I decided I wanted to work for Walt Disney, and I especially developed this love for drawing Donald Duck. And then it was then I decided I wanted to work for Disney. And then, of course, the way things were back in the 70s when I graduated high school, the economy was really bad, and coming from a large family, my folks certainly couldn't afford school. So I joined the military and saw the world. And but I continued with my art. My dad always said, "Let them know you're an artist, son." And so even as a firefighter in the Air Force, I was still volunteering to do drawings for the rec centers and things like that. And then I ended up coming back to the United States, and I thought 4 years was a good enough time in the military, and I ended up in this warehouse down in Texas. And anyway, it was through that warehouse that I got a job at Disney. I worked there for 12 years, and that's an entirely different story there. But the thing was, I always had this dream about working for Walt Disney, and to be able to sit here and in the capacity of being an artist with Disney, it's a dream come true. And I know that with your website that you have, and you talk about, hey, you can chase your dreams, you can go after your dreams. I firmly believe in that. I firmly believe in it, that if you truly love something, you're going to work hard for it. And of course, people say that it's not that easy. Sure, it comes with a lot of elbow grease. It's like with your podcast. You've been doing this for how many years? But you make it look easy, you see. People look at it and go, oh yeah, I could do that. No,
it really isn't.
It's not easy. But no, you have to come up with something every single week. And it's the same way with any field or any job or any career that someone has. If you do something long enough, your love comes into it, and you make it look easy.
Well, and I think, and I'm going to misquote, the line from, oh God, it just jumped out of my head. It's the easy, it's the hard that makes it worth it, right? It's the hard that makes it worthwhile. Like, I think when you have to work hard for something, it tastes better.
Sure.
Right? And I think you appreciate it more,
Yeah.
as opposed to it given to you. You didn't just go knock on a door and they welcome you with open arms the very first time. Like, you had to work on it and keep knocking on that door and continue to move your way up into the company. So
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny when I think about it now. I think, oh gee, I was pretty lucky that this happened. But then when I think back, I think, well, gee, I had to do this, I had to do this, and I certainly had to do that, and the challenges of getting to that point, but never giving up. And I think that's the key word with anyone and anything. You just never give up. One of the things that I say to the younger artists in our department, and it's funny now because the newer artists in our department weren't even born when I started with the company, is I always gently remind them, I say, we work for the Walt Disney Company. Always remember that. You work for Walt Disney. We're part of that history now, and that can never be taken away from you. But make sure that you never besmirch the name.
Mm-hmm.
You continue to perform, and you continue to try and be better than what you are. There has never been a point where I've thought, oh yeah, well, I've got this all set, and I'll draw Mickey Mouse. I don't need to do this. No, I'm constantly challenging myself. And the younger people that come on board, they are so talented, and they understand these computers, which is something we didn't have when we first started. It was the School of Hard Knocks. You drew on the paper. And they come in and they understand these computers and the programs, and so I go to them when I want to learn how to do something. I say, hey, what's the trick for this? And they say, oh yeah, it's this right there, and a couple of key, and it's a mutual thing. We're learning together. It's great.
Well, and you know, and a lot of what you said, and again, knowing that you're a Walt fan, you know, that the idea
Yes.
of when you believe in a thing, you believe in it, you know, unquestionably, and you have to, you get a good idea and you dog at it and you work at it, and that's what I think all of you guys do. And over the years, you know, you've introduced me to some amazing people that you work with. They're not quite as talented as you are, but we won't say that. You know.
Yeah, then you get them on the program. I know what to say to them.
At Casey Jones, man, that guy can draw. I mean. So over the years, you have done, and again, the reason why I said, you know, artist, you do so much more. What are some of the things that you've worked on? Because it's not just putting pen to paper for two-dimensional drawings.
Right. You know, it's funny, the longer that you're with the company, the more connections that you make, or the more opportunities that you get to do. And one of them, I would have to say, is I got to work on the Sailor Mickey balloon for the Macy's Parade. To me, that was a bucket list opportunity. Going up to New York and meeting with the Macy's people, and then going to the secret destination where the balloon was
I remember when you did that, and you were like, I can't tell you where I am, but.
But I thought it was just such a wonderful opportunity. And then having my Mickey on the front of the Dream, Maria, my wife, and I went over to Germany, not affiliated with a business trip, but again, my wife being German, she has family that's still over there. We went up to Emden, or Papenburg, more specifically, where they made the Dream, and we got to go onto the floor and watch them putting the ship together. And I videotaped that, so maybe sometime I'll have to share that with you and the box people. And but so my Mickey was picked to go on the front of the ship, and I didn't even know that was Casey Jones who pointed that out. And again, it's a thrilling thing. Of course, I look at it and I go, oh, I wish I could redo that. Look right. Maybe it's good it's on the front of the ship, you know, on the bow, because the guests can't really see it, you know. And then, of course, the other one is the Magical Express bus. I got to work with Imagineers on that. But any of the artists, in fact, Ron Cohey, his illustrations are going to be on the help me out here. The cars.
The sky.
The sky.
I didn't know. I'm sorry, I didn't know what this was.
But he done the character work on that, and so when you're with a company long enough, you do get opportunities to do that. And one of the other things is I get to do paintings for the galleries, and I really enjoy that. To me it's peaceful and it's calming, and it's a thrill when I get to meet fellow Disney enthusiasts, and that's what I say, because I'm a Disney enthusiast and you're a Disney enthusiast. But to meet them, to share those feelings and thoughts, to me, there's nothing better.
And it comes out in what you do. I mean, the conversations with you, I see this the moment that I walked into your home. Like, I mean, you're only showing your own artwork, and you put all these like first place stickers on all of them. I don't know if that's really no, but you can tell that you are a fan first. And
yes.
I remember coming to visit you so often, and you'd be like, you can't tell anybody, but this is what I'm working on, and the childlike wonder and excitement in your eyes, like it's not that I would tell the company this, but I think that you would do the job for free because you love it so much, whether it was a pin
How many
or
Disney
a statue.
executives follow your show?
Zero, don't worry. But, you know, like I have, you know, one of the things that is one of my prized possessions is I have the Jedi Mickey, and you sign the bottom of it
right.
for me. Yeah,
I remember
the
that.
big figs, when the big figs used to be full size.
Yes, I
big figs.
have one of those Mickeys here.
I have one too, but mine's signed by Brian Blackmore.
Hey, mine's not signed. I got to get that bum to sign mine. I did want to point out that one painting over there, if I could bring that over.
Yeah,
'Cause
sure.
I wanted to show how I put stories to the paintings. I think
Or
it's
wait,
very
you know
important.
what? I can actually, I'll make, if you want me to, I can even switch cameras if you
Oh,
want.
can you
and
do
you can,
that?
yep,
Or I can hold this up in front
yep.
there.
You can step back a little bit.
Okay.
Perfect. There
Does
you
that
go.
work?
Yep.
Okay. So this is a painting that I'm doing for the Festival of the Arts in January. And I like to put little messages into the paintings and share these with the guests. This particular painting really represents me and my wife Maria. Mickey is drawing Minnie down here, and he's got a little heart going on. But what I wanted to point out was in the background here, you'll notice that I have a book that says The Art of Walt Disney here, and then I have the Disney's Nine Old Men book here that was written by John Canemaker. And then I have this book right here, it says Westwood Boulevard on it. Well, the reason why it says Westwood Boulevard is because that's where our offices used to be when I first joined the company back in '94. And so this was a tribute that I'm doing to that. And of course, the Art of Walt Disney book, that was one of the very first books I purchased back in the 1970s. And this is my bookcase that's in one of my art rooms here at my home. But again, I like to put stories in there about things that are going on in my life, and it's nice. It's like nice little Easter eggs. This is another one here. This is I've got it is Donald, and this is going to be in a series of these, almost like how to draw type things. So I've got Donald. He's drawing himself here as he appeared in 1934 in the what cartoon, Lou? Oh my God.
I'm not answering because I want the people who are watching to be able to answer.
Is anyone answering there?
There's a couple of second delay.
Okay. Can they name this? What was the very first cartoon
that Donald ever
that
appeared
Donald debuted in 1934? Any answers?
The answer is, of course. I mean, I want to hear it from you to make
Okay.
sure you understand.
A good answer. The Wise Little Hen.
Oh,
So anyway, in this one, I'm not quite finished with it yet. I'm a big Jaws fan, so what I'm going to do back here, you can see this porthole back here, I'm going to put in the horizon here a silhouette of the orca from Jaws.
oh wow.
Back over here. Again, these little teeny Easter eggs or little special additions to the paintings, I think adds more to it. It's better than just doing a portrait. I don't want to do just a portrait, and this is a smaller one that I'm doing. I'm trying to do smaller paintings.
That's beautiful.
Oh, thank you very much. Again, it's the story. You're trying to get that story that's to be conveyed here. Obviously, Mickey's very excited about putting this hat on, and he's got the pig's death coming down. But these are all done in acrylics, and I love working with acrylics more so than oils. They dry quickly, and the colors are still fairly vibrant. I have to come over here and then we switch the camera right back. Oh, look at that! There we go.
So I said, right? It's not like the old days when I only had one camera.
Modern technology, what a wonderful thing.
So yeah, it's and as somebody who I can't, my stick figures don't even look like stick figures. So I'm always in awe of a true talent that loves what he does, and I've always been amazed, like I said, that every time I talk to you, there's the passion is so genuine and so authentic. I feel like it's your first week on the job because you still have that level of excitement in everything that you do.
Well, first of all, thank you. But I think you'll find that is the general consensus of everyone in the office is that, especially amongst the character artists, and those are the artists that their job is to draw the characters, and there is a funness about it. There's a great deal of responsibility, of course, about making sure those characters are correct, but you can see and feel the joy that everyone has, and also in sharing. When we get together once a week in our character artist meetings, we talk about the projects that we're working on, and our manager Cody, he heads it up. And in fact, Cody started with the company a year after I did. He was fresh out of Ringling College, and now he's our manager. And things take a full circle. And we all share in the successes of our programs, and if someone draws something really, really well, we're not sitting there not jealous of each other. We applaud and embrace that we're all doing well, because that's the ultimate goal, is to get this stuff right, to get it right the first time.
Yeah, and it matters, and it absolutely matters. And people are saying you have their dream job. Can you buy any of your art anywhere, online or physically, for personal possession? I'm going to steal as much as I can. I'll have it up on eBay in a matter of hours.
Yeah.
Or you can go to Art at Disney, right? Because you have a lot of pieces that sometimes will be in Art at
Yes,
Disney.
yeah, we have a variety of artists in our department that paint for the galleries. Darren Wilson, for one. Alex Mayer does. I'm going blank. Costa Alavisos. And there's myself. There's about 4 or 5 of us, I guess. And I know I've been painting for the galleries for probably over 20 years now. And of course, I keep in practice for painting for my wife. That's a Christmas gift back there behind us.
People noticed as soon as we went live, like, I love the Mulan in the background.
That was a Christmas gift from Maria. She gets a lot of Christmas gifts. A lot of Christmas gift paintings.
And by the way, if you have a question for Brian, you can start asking him, and I'll just, if even when he starts drawing, I'll be able to belt those out for him. Bill Danny says, I love the passion, love when people love what they do, and like I said, that's something that very much comes through with all of the artists.
That one right there, Angela was asking, does he offer art classes on or off site? My wife was saying that it might be a good idea that perhaps I do offer classes on how to draw cartoon characters, and then of course a part of that would be I could show you how to draw the Disney characters too, because one of the things that we come to understand, it's very difficult to find people to draw the characters, because it's you have to go through an internship really with us. It's not something that you learn by yourself. I mean, you could technically, I'm sure. I mean, when I joined the company, I wasn't a character artist. I was an inker. I was inking with a brush, and I was inking like Ralph Kent's work. And well, that's my niece. Hi, Monica. No, I came on board as an inker, and then it was only through necessity that Mark Sepla.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, sure.
Yep. He said, "Okay, you're gonna become a character artist." And I said, oh, "I don't draw the characters." He says, "Well, you're gonna have to learn." So he threw me all the model sheets, and then it was a school of hard knocks in some ways, because we didn't have a training program at that time.
It sounds like a very Walt move. Well, Walt telling guys who had a specific role, no, now you're gonna write lyrics you're gonna create theme park attractions.
Yes, yeah. Mark was very good about that. He's since retired now. He lives up in Sanford, but he hired most of the department, and that are all the leaders now. And I asked him, I said, look, I didn't draw the characters. You why'd you take that risk on me? And he says, I hire for what's in here. And he says, and you loved Disney. And he says, and that's what I went by. That was my litmus paper test on people, was to find out how much they cared for Disney and history of Disney. And that love would obviously, hopefully, elevate their abilities. And it did for a lot of the people in our department who are now the leaders.
I remember Mark. I remember interviewing Mark. I remember his office. Yeah. I remember he had this amazing, it's the wrong term, sort of collage of characters, and he built the Titanic, right? Didn't he build the model of a Titanic?
A 6-foot long model from scratch. It took him like 4 years to make it, and it's on display up in his gallery up in Sanford. People can come right off the street and see it. It's over there in the Old Town section of Sanford. It's really nice. It's an incredible job. Incredible job.
Peggy wants to know where you're originally from. She's trying to read your name tag.
Oh. Well, I'll just take it off here and I'll show you real closely.
I'm actually not used to seeing you without your hat on.
I
Your
know.
Boston Red Sox hat on.
Harwich, Massachusetts. So yeah, that's where I grew up, as far away from California as you possibly could be. And then when I moved to Texas, where I met my wife and our daughters were born, I was the furthest away from the East Coast and the West Coast. But for some reason, somehow, I was able to get a job with Disney in their merchandise department through the warehouse that I was at. It was really, it's a story that I've been told. People say you should write this down, because it's really unusual how it worked.
Yeah.
It's been coined to me as a comedy of errors. It just, everything seemed to line up just in the correct way for it to happen.
As just Romina says, I always buy art from Brian during the Festival of the Arts in Epcot. He's such a joy to talk to and spend time with. Are you sure you're talking about the right Brian Blackmore? This guy? I agree.
Well, she probably doesn't recognize me because when I did that How to Draw Mickey with you, I had a mustache.
You did?
Yeah.
And it was brown.
Well, yeah. No, actually, my hair fell off my head and landed down on here.
What's the biggest change between your first year and now? I guess electricity is probably...
Yeah, fire. Yeah, yeah. I used to be those cavemen that would stand there and draw the images on the cave walls there. Then the English language came along and that made it easier.
So your favorite character is obviously Donald.
Yeah.
You've drawn. I want to say you taught us. I still can't draw Mickey. You've taught us how to draw Mickey in the past, but tonight you're going to try and take those of me with no artistic talent whatsoever.
Yes.
And teach us how to draw Donald.
You will become a Donald master.
I highly doubt that.
I want to share one quick story with you about Donald Duck and things in the past. Do you remember the old Gulf stations, Gulf
sure.
gas? Okay, now they're Chevron, I
Yep.
believe. Well,
it was the Gulf Hospitality House, which was the Main Street Cinema. Was that's what it was originally called? Was the Gulf?
See, I didn't know that.
Hall, yep.
See, I didn't know that. But they were a big sponsor of
Yep.
Disney. And when The Wonderful World of Color was on TV, and this was in the '60s, Gulf stations, of course, were advertising, and they had this one little thing. If you filled up your tank at the Gulf gas station, you'd get this a little newsletter. It's like 4 or 5 pages, and it had all these little details about Disney. And on the back page, would show you how to draw, and it was how to draw Donald Duck, and it was just his face. And I remember getting that, and I was so excited about seeing it, and I would sit there and draw it over and draw it over and draw it over, and I kind of use those same techniques now today when I talk to people about drawing Donald Duck. They're not easy characters. They're deceivingly easy, but they're not easy to draw, and especially Mickey Mouse, especially. But if I can show when I go to demonstrating this, if I can get them, the box people, to think about him in terms of shapes, circles, and it makes it easier for them to understand if you can break it down.
I remember you trying to teach how to draw, and the ease of which you were making. I couldn't even get the circle right. I'm still struggling with the circles. But again, it's a gift that you have. So if you were able to teach us, by us I mean them, how to do it, I know this is going to be a treat. And I saw somebody, I don't remember who it was, posted in the Box People group on Facebook. He was ready to go. He had his paper out, his pencils out, and his little Donald Duck plush all ready to go. So
very cool. I like that. I like that a lot.
If you feed
The
Lou,
enthusiasm.
there's a lot of enthusiasm, and I'll continue to read questions. Did you ever work on animatronics for an attraction?
I worked on, it wasn't an animatronic, but the Baloo, the articulated face, the head, and he's on the cruise ship. They had that one. Plus also the articulated head for King Louie. Jeff Conover of Imagineering approached me and he asked if I could help him out do turnarounds. Turnarounds are like blueprints in essence. And he wanted me to take a stab at doing Baloo's. So what I did was I did a forward, left side, front, right side view for him so that he could get his people to construct this head. Now I didn't obviously know about the mechanics involved in the head. Certainly I wouldn't pretend to even know. But they used that as a guide when they constructed the head. And I have a video of the very first debut of that where we went down to the entertainment side of the building, and it was an incredible experience to watch this puppeteer make Baloo come to life and sing the bare necessities, and the mouth was moving. It's just beautiful. It just took you right to the Jungle Book.
You know, you said a couple of things. I wasn't really paying attention, but a couple of things actually did. Somebody mentioned where could they learn how to draw, and then you mentioned Disney Cruise Line. You know, we've had Ron Cohey on our cruises before.
Yes.
Maybe we need to talk to your agents and see about getting you on a cruise.
On a cruise?
Yeah.
Well, you know me, I'm a big time cruiser. Renee.
She's doing thumbs
Renee.
up. She's like, yeah, keep going, Mangello. Good idea. Yeah, maybe because if you're going to learn how to draw Disney characters from one of the top 400 Disney artists, I don't know where exactly you rank in that, but what better place to do 400? What better place to do it than on a cruise? We had such a great time with Ron in
I know
Alaska.
Ron.
Yeah.
He had such a wonderful time. He still talks about it.
Yeah.
He still talks about it. Meeting all the people, of course, and then drawing for all the guests. It's something that we as artists consider an honor to do. I know this sounds corny, but it's true. It really is true. I remember it was one of our very first trips out to California, and we were coming back. It was Mark Deli, who still works for Imagineering, myself, Alex Mayer, Darren Hunt, and Patrick Scanlon with Mark Sepula. We'd gone out there, and this was in '94, to go to the studios and to Imagineering and visit. And we were coming back on the plane, and there was the plane. It seemed like half of the plane was filled with one family. The grandmother and the grandfather were taking their kids and all their kids to a trip to the Big Red Boat. This is before
Right.
the cruise line, because the Disney characters are on the Big Red Boat, and for a week's stay at Disney World. So we drew for all the kids on the plane that were of
Wow.
that family. But it started a chain, because other people were saying, "Oh, Disney drawings," and Mark Deli was asleep in the back of the plane, and I went up and caught over, and then I woke him up and I said, "Hey, you got to start drawing, come on." So yeah, he did. So for the 4.5 hours back, we were all drawing. Now, Mark was a little upset when I woke him up, but he had a smile on his face though at the end, because knowing the joy that it brings to people.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to talk more about that over lunch. Sheldon says the cruise with a new Disney character drawing session every day sounds awesome.
Great.
So,
I would challenge them. I would challenge your guests, whoever comes on the cruise, to what they would like to learn, because it could be some obscure character like Mr. Toad, or any of the other secondary characters that we love to draw. I love to put the secondary characters into illustrations, and just for that aha moment. There's this one image that I did years ago. It was for the Magic Kingdom, and I had all these characters on Main Street, and I had Jiminy Cricket, and he was down on the ground, and he had a little map in front of him. Now, you couldn't tell what was on that map.
right.
Well, he had a confused look on his face, like this. If you could get not a microscope or a magnifying glass, you could see that it was a Disneyland map, and that's why he was confused. But we like to do those little things like that. And Ralph, our dear friend and Disney legend and great person,
Who you introduced me to, yeah.
11 years ago, we lost him, and just a great guy. He did an illustration that had the pirate ship from Peter Pan, in an illustration he had done. Well, out of a tribute to him, I took that ship drawing they did, and I put it up in the drawing, up on the left-hand side of Main Street, up in the sky, on this illustration. And that was my way of saying to Ralph, "Hey, good job, buddy. You deserve it. You deserve it."
Nice. Yeah, you've always been a big fan of Ralph's and proponent around. Like I said, you introduced me to him, and I was able to. Again, one of my very first early interviews was I went to Ralph's house, and incredibly nice, gracious man. Yeah. So I felt like I was going to my grandparents' house.
Oh
She
yeah.
was offering me food and lemonade.
Oh, of course.
So-
If you come out of that house with less than 5 pounds of weight,
That's right.
you're doing well.
And I remember just sort of looking around at all the things that he had,
Yeah.
in there
Oh, it
too.
was great.
so-
And then seeing the Disney Legend Award.
yeah.
Not many people get that. There's really not that many people that get that award now. You get your complement of celebrities that get it. It's Stan Lee and just to name one of them. But Ralph, he helped to develop Epcot, and his team was part of the development for Tokyo Disneyland, and just he had done the full spectrum of a career with Disney, and he was so humble. That's what I found so remarkable about him, is that he was just so humble. When we would go out to lunch, and we'd go over to Team Disney over here on property, it was like a who's who. Everyone saying, "Hey Ralph, hey Ralph," and I'm talking about Judson Green. Some of these people that were in charge of Disney World. He was just remarkable. I said, "Ralph, how do you know?" Well, he said, "I hired him back in the 1970s." Oh my gosh! And now this man is the head of the company, or head of the kingdom, the Magic Kingdom. But yeah, just there isn't a day that doesn't go by that I don't think of him, because I have his desk.
Yeah.
I have his desk at the office, and I got a little plaque made up, a little gold plaque that said this desk belonged to Disney legend Ralph Kent, and it's on that desk. And I also have a photograph that I keep up in front of my desk, so I can look at it and see, because Ralph was just that kind of a guy. Yeah. True Disney person all the way. And just aside from that, he's just a great guy.
I'm gonna have to find, because I think I did it for the old show. So I have to find the interview and pull it, and I'll have to post it up again, just so people. Because the thing I loved about this medium is that people, it's one thing if someone was to read your story, or me to talk about this great guy Brian Blackmore. It's one thing to hear you tell it and share your stories with such passion. So I was fortunate to be able to capture, Ralph in audio, but. So let's see what Ralph taught you.
Right.
And let's see if you learned anything from Ralph Kent, and maybe you can step up to the big whiteboard and teach.
Are we going to do a front view, or are we going to do a 3/4 view?
It's ladies' choice, man. It's your card game.
What do the people say? Front view or 3/4 view, which is almost like a side view, not quite a side view. Let's see if anyone says anything here.
I saw another artist in here.
Somebody said I did a great Jaws impression of Quint. Who was
it? Jason Zucker? Yeah.
Yes, Jason. He does a great Hooper.
I've known Jason for years. I remember when Jason was at the Watch Shop in Hollywood, did the MGM Studios.
Yeah.
Again, eons ago.
Yeah.
And so you knew you knew you were gonna get this: 2 fronts, 2 3/4, a both, a 3/4, a front. You're gonna get half of that.
All right. Well, then we'll start with the front. Then the front view. All right. Do we have enough light? I wonder if we have enough light.
Let's see. Let's switch cameras here, and if you can, do those go on?
Yep, they sure do.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Excellent.
And maybe I can turn this a little bit more and bring it.
And I can move this too. I can always adjust.
How's that?
How do you want to do it here? So I can get you two.
Well, you'd have to give me just if you get my hand.
There you go. I got you in your hand, so you're all good.
Oh, good. All right. So are we ready?
Hang on, let me. There we go. Perfect.
All right. I'll put this pen right here. Let's draw Donald. He's got a smile on his face because he knows what I'm drawing. Okay, good. So, are you going to draw along with us?
Me? I'll take care of the technical aspects of the.
All right, yeah, you're the IT guy.
Right.
All right. So, as with any of the Disney characters, the first thing we want to start with is a circle. So, in the center of your picture, you're going to do a nice circle, just like that. Is that coming through, Lou?
Yep, you're perfect.
Okay, good. Now, this is, again, to help you understand how the character is built. We're going to break them down into shapes. So what I want you to do is I want you to put just a single line, and you don't have to make it too dark. This is just something that's going to help you when you draw Donald out. So you have one, you can split that pie right down the middle, and then the next one you're going to do is you're going to split it right down here like that. So you've got a cross line here and a cross line right there. Okay, assuming that you're all caught up with what we're doing here, we're going to do this next line, and through these series of lines, hopefully, you'll see right away Donald materializing on the paper. So what I want you to do, this line, I want it to be bold, really bold with this line right there. We're doing a front view of Donald. All right, very good. Now we've got that all settled up. Let's go ahead and draw in this top part. Now notice it doesn't extend too much beyond the circle, this right here. It almost joins. What this is that this is the lip of Donald right here. It's that lip right there. All right. Now let's go ahead and join up the bill to the head. So what we're going to do is it almost looks like a backwards S. You see that? It's like a backwards S. And then we're going to do it exactly on the other side, except this time it's an S shape. All right, and then you can kind of emphasize these lines there. Okay. See, one of the most difficult things to do is to draw the characters up large on a piece of paper like this. All right. So let's go ahead and do the cheek on one side. And we'll do it on the other side too. Okay. So those are his smile lines. Now let's go ahead and put in his bottom bill. And if you're up with me, you'll see it's already taking shape. Now Donald's eyes are rather large and they're not really quite close together. There is a space in between them, see? There's a space. So let's go ahead and do that. And what I like to say about his eyes are they're like eggs. They're like egg shaped, see? They're ovals. And they're separated. Lou, you getting choked up about this?
I am.
So now you've got his eyes. And above his eyes, we note that he's got brow lines. So we're going to do this on one side, and then on the other side, we're going to do the exact same thing. So if you're following me along here, step by step, you should have this right here. Now, the next step we're going to do is we're going to join up this side of his bill to the other side. So it's like a roller coaster. It goes down the hill and it comes up the hill, it goes down the hill and it joins back over here again. What I love about this grease pencil is that I can emphasize thicks and thins. And this helps make the image, gives it more life. And I have to make sure that I get right in front because I find that if I draw off to the side, the drawing will lean this way. So I have to get in front to see that it's right. All right, now the circle, of course, we're going to go back to the circle. We're going to come in here and we're going to do this. And on the other side as well. And then he's got, I don't know what to describe. I know it needs to go there. I just don't know what it is. It's like it's his cheek, I guess. And what I like to do is I like to emphasize the line above the eyes here. These are almost like his eyelashes. So I make these a little bit thicker.
Everybody's saying how you make it look so easy.
I had lots of practice. I've had nightmares. I can't do this.
And somebody asked, is it a grease pencil that you're using?
Yes. It's actually called a China marker. Does that show on there?
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
It's a China marker. And what's really cool about this is, see, you pull down on this right here. Pull down. So I don't need to have a pencil sharpener. Well, that didn't work.
It's your first day. I understand. It's fine.
All right, hold on here. I'm going to get this thing to work. Now, look, it's making a liar out of me now. Anyway, you pull that down, and then you can pull the paper off, and then you've got yourself a new tip. All right, so let's go ahead and draw in his eyes. See? We got one right there, and we got the other one right here. I'm going to get this to work, folks. Oh, here we go. See, then you do this.
Tim Brown says, how many Donalds do you estimate you've drawn?
I lost count after 5. Probably hundreds, I would say. You know, it's funny, when the younger artists, when we would go to see Ralph, one of the things that we'd ask Ralph, say, Ralph, how long will it take for us to get Mickey done right, or the drawing right? And Ralph would say, that's probably going to take you about 100,000 times. I don't think I've quite gotten that far yet. But yeah, I've certainly drawn the mouse a lot, and in a variety of ways. All of us have been tasked to draw Mickey as the pie-eyed Mickey, as the coal-eyed Mickey, and certainly as the contemporary Mickey, and as the new Mickey from the shorts. They all have their appeal, a certain appeal. My favorite Mickey would be the Sorcerer's Apprentice Mickey. So the 40s and the 50s would be my favorite.
It's interesting how his style has changed over the years. You know, what we're seeing now with Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway
Yes.
is very different. You know, I think everybody sort of has the Mickey that they grew up with.
Yes.
And this is the Mickey that this generation of kids is growing up with, which is a lot more familiar to them when it's sort of almost new and somewhat foreign to old guys like me.
So you notice how I put feathers on there, and we like to make it look like hair. So he's got this perplexed look on his face. His hat has personality too. So when Donald is angry, the hat will come forward. If he's happy, the hat will go and sit on the crown of his head. And sometimes we'll put it sideways. So let's go ahead and just do that. We're going to take his head or his hat, and it's like a bean shape. And there's a technique that we call when we work, and it's called draw through. And that's what I'm doing here. Do you see this? I'm drawing through the character. And you're probably asking me, why am I doing that? Why is he doing that? Well, it helps to convey the image of weight, of shape, of life to the character. And then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do his band to the hat. And I know that this is following the roundness of his head. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to color that in. And I'm going to emphasize lines in here. So it's going to be thick here. See how it makes it become three-dimensional almost by adding the thicker lines. And even when I color in the eyes, notice how I'll be darker here and then it gets lighter down that way. And then I put a little tassel on there. Starts out thin, ends up thick. And we'll just color that in. I'll weigh down on the pencil and I come up on it. And then there you have Donald. Now his neck, see, I'm going to draw through. He's got a neck that's thin and goes out. But it's got to hold up that big head of his, that melon that he has for a head. What's everyone thinking, Lou?
I'm wondering, and I noticed that your pencil doesn't have an eraser on it. What do you? I thought I saw somebody say, what happens if you start to do it and you make a mistake?
You mean like right now? I'll just keep going over.
No, like
right.
Because you're drawing these lines.
Yeah.
So, for example, when you start to make his neck, you've drawn those lines in there.
Yes.
You don't erase those lines. Those lines just stay in there.
No. Well, obviously, for demonstration purposes, I'm having that here, and it helps make it easier for the viewers to see how he's constructed. But when I'm doing this for a particular piece of artwork or project at work, well, obviously, I will go back in there and erase those lines. But a lot of the times now, and there are still a few of us that still like to draw on the paper.
I was like, do you do digital or paper or both?
Can do both.
Okay.
We do both. The younger artists certainly do more of the digital. But then there's the old school individuals like myself and Ron and Alex and Costa and Randy and a couple of the other people. We still like to draw on paper. There's something about that, and Dave Holbrook, I don't want to forget about Dave. He's another one of ours that comes from animation. There's that tactile feel of the paper that we like. But if push comes to shove, yeah, we can certainly draw on the computer screens. You know, I kind of equate this with what is going on with cells from movies. The cells now are very valuable because we don't do cells anymore. It's all done digitally. Well, as time goes on and a lot of start to retire, well, the newer people will be working totally on digital. So you won't have the pencils. Right. You will not have this live art anymore. It just won't be. All right. Are they ready to learn how to draw another image of him?
It's interesting that they're very self-critical about their work, but we're going to have people post their images in the Box People group so we can see. Yeah.
And by the way, I don't think they should be so hard on themselves because I'm looking at this and I'm still making adjustments. And I've been drawing him for 25 years.
Stan says, mine has personality. Yeah, that's it. Personality.
I like that.
My 7-year-old daughter, Jason Elkin says, my 7-year-old daughter says, Brian must have practiced before the show started.
Yes, for 25 years. I was practicing for 25 years. All right, good. So let's try a 3/4 view, and people are probably saying, "Well, what do they mean by that?" Well, obviously there's a front view, and then you have a side view. A 3/4 view would be almost like this, where I'm looking like this. This is a 3/4 view. When I look straight at you, that's a front view, and of course that's a side view. So the 3/4 view, which is the most common, and in fact on this, if you look right here, that's a 3/4 view. Do we have time to do a 3/4
Sure.
view? Okay.
Listen, I'm at your house, so you're the one who has to you have to go to sleep at some point.
All right, so let's go ahead and, oh, and by the way, did we want to talk about how we're going to dispose of these?
We can at your leisure. This is your show.
I was going to say, if you want to go ahead and you can mention that right now.
Maybe we'll. You've been incredibly generous to say that maybe we can auction these off for our Dream Team project for Make-A-Wish. You've always been a huge supporter of our Make-A-Wish efforts.
Look at that, and that came off perfectly right there. I'm going to set that right over there. Okay, good. So, what do we start off with? A circle. So there's the circle. I'm going to emphasize the lines a little bit more so that you can see it. Does that show up on the camera?
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
Good. Now, once we've established that, we're going to go to the next step, and that's to establish where his beak falls. So we're going to come right out here like this. And if you've got a really good imagination, you're already looking at that and you're already seeing Donald. So now I'm going to come in here and start emphasizing things a little bit more. Here's the front part of his bill.
Jeremiah says, my 12-year-old daughter is an aspiring Disney artist. We're watching together. I love this. Jeremiah, I love every part of that sentence, including and especially the fact that you guys are able to watch together.
Awesome. Awesome. I love hearing that, especially when a parent is drawing with their child. To me, that's paramount, especially when I get people that come up to me when I'm making an appearance, whether it's for the gallery or something else, and they'll say, well, what can I do for my child? And I say, well, the first thing, the most important thing is that you're giving support to your daughter or your son. And that's where it all starts. My dad, who was a musician and a heating and electrical engineer, he would say to me, let him know you're an artist, son. No matter where you go, let him know that you're an artist. All right, so you notice I put in that center line, and this is where his eyes are going to fall, because I'm sculpting this on a piece of paper, and that's the direction I want Donald to be looking. He's looking over in that direction. So that's why I did this. And notice that the center line has a bend to it. It's almost like math, which artists are horrible at. I was horrible at math. But for some reason, this makes sense to me. Maybe I should have been drawing Donald Duck in math classes, or should have had my teacher doing that. All right, so we're going to bring that smile line up here a little bit, because he's really happy. He's happy about being here. Okay. And I'm going to go over here, and I'm putting in this part. That's the cheek on the other side. So you've got the cheek here. See, this is the cheek. And it's going to come down here, which becomes the bottom lip. Let's get that little smile line, because we're thinking about form and we're thinking about emotion, and so if he's smiling, that smile line is coming way up. It's coming way up. There you go, just like that. Okay. Let's go ahead and finish off the bill. Remember, I had that center line right here. There's your center line. It's curved a little bit because it's like a ball. I'm holding a ball in my hand. That's a ball. And if I drew some eyes on that ball, it would be curved. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to define his beak. The top part of his beak. Remember that? It comes down. It goes up the roller coaster. And then the head comes over into here. So with that so far, that should be looking like Donald Duck. And see, now I'm coming in here and I'm adjusting, see? I'll raise this up a little bit more. Here. Okay. So we got that so far. Now let's go ahead and let's get in the eye. So there's one eye right here. And then the other eye, interestingly enough, is going to hug the outside of the circle. What I mean by that is that it's going to do this. See that? Because, again, if you're looking at it in a ball, the eye is going to be off to the side. It's a hemisphere. It's a circle. Now let's go ahead and put in the brows above. And this is going to be the other challenge, because now we've turned the head so that this brow will go up like this, but look, then it comes in. I hope I'm not going too fast. Am I going too fast? What are people saying?
Nope, they are following along, or they're trying to.
Okay. All right, let's go ahead and add in that cheek line right there. See, there's that little cheek line right there. And while I'm waiting for other people to catch up, let's go ahead and, as I did in the previous one, let's emphasize right here and here. That's, like I said, these are like the eyelashes of the character. See?
I'm always fascinated, as somebody who has no talent, how you're able to make this appear from a blank page with no reference drawing in front of you.
This is not my arm. This is. It's all blue screened. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to have him looking up. I think it's kind of cool when you have Donald or the character's eyes looking up. It's almost like he's thinking of something. So you've got this other eye over here, and then the other one would be over here like this. See? And I'm going to go ahead and color it in. I have a friend. His name's Dennis Prey, and I met him years ago. We were firefighters together in the Air Force, and now he's been living in San Antonio. In fact, he's a grandfather now. And, he'll occasionally call me at the office from his job. He's a manager and a nurse, actually, at a psychiatric ward in San Antonio. And he'll call me, and he'll say, "Hey, you still coloring? Are you still coloring your coloring book?" I said, "Okay, Dan, anytime you want to..." No, I don't want to trade jobs with him. I want to be a nurse in a ward that's very difficult, a difficult job. So anyway, there you go. Yeah, the eyes on there, and I think we're just about finished up, except for a few things. So let's go ahead and put a nose right here, a nostril, and there might be one that's on this side too. Remember now, this is shaped like this. You're thinking about it as shapes. We're trying to make this look like it's a living, breathing character. So let's go ahead and add in his feathers, you know, maybe feathers up here. And you see, if he's looking up, then one of the challenges of being a character artist, or just a cartoonist in general, is you have to think about the forces of gravity in nature. So if Donald is looking up, you see, then the brow of him would push up beyond the circle. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oops. So let's go ahead and do his hat. So I'm gonna put the band on there first. And then I'm gonna put his hat. So here we go, there's the beam. Back and around and around. And then again, when Donald is happy, he kind of cocks his head back like this because he's very sure of himself in an unsure kind of way. So I'm going to draw through. See, and then once I get beyond here, then I commit to the paper. See, and I'm just going to throw in his collar. And of course, what's Donald without his tie? You know, he's going to hit the tie. And again, it's very simple shapes. Look at this, folks. It's a triangle. See that? It's a triangle. And then you come in here with this, which joins it up. And then the other triangle is over here. So I'm just going to do a basic shape. See, just a basic shape. And the tie that Donald wears, it's kind of top heavy. It's bigger on the top here and smaller on the bottom. And then you do the little folds, fold. And I'm thinking round, round, round. I'm thinking about this character. It's a living, breathing thing. That's the stripe that goes around it. But then there you go. There's Donald. How'd everybody do?
I've been watching you do.
Not finished. Oops.
Of course you're not. That's what's
I
exactly what I was.
Lou, you caught it. There you go. Yeah, we got to put that in there. Okay. Now we're finished.
I'm sitting here in awe. I am. How you make this come together, and somebody even mentioned that you're probably going, half speed, quarter speed, because you're teaching, and could imagine what it would be like if you just did it, normal Brian Blackmore speed. But
everybody differs. There's some people in our office that can draw a character really, really fast, and then there are other characters that require a little bit more time. When it comes to drawing the female characters, I will be the first, or the human characters, I will be the first to say that I have a little bit more of a challenge in it than most. But I find that the character artists, within the character artists, those that are really good at drawing the princesses, there's a challenge with them drawing the Fab Five. It's almost like there's two different sides. There's only a couple of maybe one artist in our department that I'd say he's well-rounded on that. He can do both.
Kate Wallace
says, knows who he is. He knows who him.
Kate Wallace says mine is looking like a cross between Pluto and a shoe.
What kind of shoe?
Dan Mulca says I'm hearing Donald say "aw shucks" in my mind as I see this.
Aw shucks in a good way?
Stan says, and here I thought my first one was bad, and then I drew this one.
Don't be so hard on yourselves, folks.
That's
If you haven't drawn Donald Duck, remember I've been drawing him for 25 years now, and I still have moments where I'll take a drawing and I'll throw it in the trash, and I go, oh my gosh, it just does not look right. Or I'll draw something, and 5 minutes later I'll come back into my office because I've maybe gone down to the printer to get something, and I'll step in and I'll go, what? Oh my, no. Yeah, and I think that does it for that.
That's incredible.
Now I look at, well, I'm not going to say what I see, but, I'm already wanting to make adjustments here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do another one, but I'm going to draw it. Let me see if I can get this off without tearing it off. This always seems to be the challenge. Like a litmus test here.
Jason Zucker continues to bark out quotes from Jaws.
Quotes from Jaws?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do this.
Hook me up another barrel.
I'll do this for Jason, but I know.
Hey, Hooper!
Yeah, he can't do his Hooper. I can't hear his Richard Dreyfuss, man. Well, you don't know me. You know what I do for a living? Oh, thank you. I do sharking for a living. All right, my assistant gave me a nice little, see this here. Gus, Renee, you can come on over here and help me out. She doesn't want to, she's camera shy. My goodness. All right, Lou, can you get that out of there?
I don't. I'm gonna.
Oh, there we go. I got it.
I can do it.
What'd you do? All right, now just go. It's not. There it is, right there. I'm gonna
I
snip
can't
it.
see where the.
Preparation is? Yeah, is up here. Cutting mini. Well, I can trim it.
You want to cut it from the side?
Yeah, that's a good idea. You can just trim along the top. That's the thing with sometimes the preparations work and sometimes they don't. There we go. And the thing about this is it's a sticky, it's a post-it. There we go. How many people does it take to take 20 minutes off of a drawing pad? All right, this one is going to match how I feel when it comes to taking off this. So I'm going to do this from real quickly here.
You do that. I'm going to sign my name to the bottom of these two.
Okay, you do that.
Jason says he misses those DDG days.
Yeah, I haven't seen you in a while, Jason. You ought to come by.
Connor says, to think the most fascinating part of my night has been watching you guys try not to rip the paper.
Yeah, really. Well, that doesn't say much about our drawing abilities there.
There's a few other people in here who are artists who are sympathetic to the ripping the perforated paper.
Yes, it just seems it's almost like an IQ test. So, as you can see, I'm drawing a frustrated Donald here. I like drawing Donald mad. And a lot of people ask me, what is it that I like about Donald? I think it's because he has so many different personalities. A lot of people don't realize this, but for years, Donald was the most popular character in the Disney inventory, much more so than than Mickey rather. And even to this day, not taking into account the new Disney shorts, Donald was in more cartoon shorts than Mickey, Goofy, Pluto, and Minnie, and Daisy combined.
Wow.
He was in over 150 shorts. And what happened was, and again, it was easy to make puns or gags for Donald Duck cartoons because he could be angry, he could be sad, he could be happy. with Mickey, he was, he was kind of like a good guy. And the gag men back then, who made the jokes up, they'd get paid $5 for a gag. And back then, that was a lot of money. You think it was 10 cents for a loaf of bread.
Right.
So naturally, he became more popular because he was in more shorts. He would Chip and Dale and Humphrey the Bear. And then that's when Walt said, we got to get the mouse back in the forefront. We can't forget that. And that's where the Sorcerer's Apprentice role came in. Because, and I've told this to a lot of people, and it's true, there was another character that was popular at the time that some of Walt's men said, look, Walt, this character is really, really popular, and we think he should be the Sorcerer's Apprentice. And I'm not talking about Donald. Can anyone guess? I can demonstrate that right here. If I cover up Mickey's face, whose body is that? Does anyone know? Oh, don't you look at my daughter now, Lou. She knows the answer, but she's not going to tell you.
Whose body is that?
Yes, yeah, really, look at that. What film was out at that time, in the late 1930s, where the character was very popular? Does anyone know? Somebody must be answering in the box there, huh?
People are saying Goofy.
Nope. Very popular character, late 19...
Horace the Horse?
No.
Dopey?
Yes. Who said that?
Andrew Klein.
It was Dopey, yes. Dopey was being pushed to be the Sorcerer's Apprentice.
No kidding.
It made sense. It really made sense. He would have been a pretty good Sorcerer's Apprentice, I think. But no, Walt said, no, we're going to have Mickey. Mickey's going to be in that position. And so, the rest is history. All right, so he's frustrated. Let's add this in right here, and that'll make him extra frustrated. And there you go. That is one frustrated duck. I'm going to emphasize on the eyes a little bit. I'm going to say the emphasize on this part, see, then it really makes the character look more free.
Tim Baker says that's why I think he thinks so many people like him is that he's relatable as a person.
Yes.
And how a person feels, because he gets angry and he gets frustrated and he gets mad and.
Maybe that's why he's my favorite character, because he's a lot like me. He's a lot like the regular person.
Yeah. I'm asking your daughter to confirm.
Be careful, Renee.
See, I always thought he was more like Mickey. He's always happy. He's always smiling.
She knows the truth. All right, so there you go. So there's an angry Donald. And look at this. Now I'm looking at this. I see it. This has got to come over here a little bit. And I got to adjust that a little bit, and then there. But yeah, that's it. Mad Donald. And I'll draw down his neck. His neck. He's not happy.
Kimberly says he looks like I feel when I get angry.
I'm going to draw out the rest of his collar. This is tie. There you go. Stripe, stripe.
That's great.
There. Angry Donald.
Crazy.
Are there any questions?
Crazy.
Does anyone would like to ask, or?
Joe Fu, who I know is also an artist,
Right.
says even his collar is expressive. He goes from 0 to Donald in 0 to 6. He goes 0 to Donald in 0 to 60 in 3 seconds flat.
Lots of practice. Lots and lots of practice. Literally, I've had nightmares where I couldn't draw the characters. And it's very, very true. But again, this harkens back when I was talking about how the hat, too, is just as much a part of his personality as his eyes are. Here again, his hat is coming forward because he's angry, because his brow's moving down. So if the brow's moving down, then the hat goes down. When he's happy, the brow goes back, so the hat naturally would tilt back on his head.
You know, it's amazing to watch, to look at the three of these together, that they're the same character. You know, the incredibly angry Donald, and just sort
He's
of
just like, he's
just sort of happy, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's perplexed there, and there he's happy, of course. But I gotta tell you, I always prefer the Mad Donald. I just do.
Is it because he's fun for you to draw?
Yeah. He's got so much going on. The squash and stretch, and I think that's what makes it fun. You know?
Maureen says, "This is what I look like when I was trying to draw Donald."
Well, I hope that everyone enjoyed drawing along and learning how to draw this really great character of Donald. You know, he's definitely my favorite.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You're of course, I mean, you know you're going to have to sign those. Nobody's going to let you walk out the door without.
Of course, I expect everyone knows how to draw Donald now.
Yeah, I'm going to ask people to share their photos in the Box People group. People are just thanking you left and right, saying it was a blast. We have people watching from the UK staying up till 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my God!
To do this, yeah. I love this. Think it's my favorite. Enjoyed watching you draw. Thank you so much, Brian.
Well, we're going to get more artists on here. We're going to get Ron to draw for you. We really should.
You said you had other artists on here.
Oh, you know, Ron's probably watching this. Oh, you're out of lunch. You're out of lunch group now, pal. You are out of the lunch group.
Ron knows that the amount that I kid is directly proportionate to the amount that I love. So
yeah, it's true.
People saying that they're already posting him in there. So it was amazing, great show. People are posting him in the group already. Donald is my spirit animal. My daughter and I did it together. So much fun. She wants to animate for Disney.
Oh, I like to hear that. How old is his daughter?
So Angela, how old is your daughter?
Or Angie, I'm sorry. How old is your daughter?
Sheldon really enjoyed it. Corey Bassett. Becky says, "It's great to see you, Brian, and we will see you on a cruise, right?"
Maria? I'm looking over there because she's going to go along with me. We need to make this a family affair.
Angela's daughter's 15.
Oh, nice. And is she learning things on the computer? That's, to me, that's very important. You know, when people ask me, especially those that are wanting their children to go into arts, I always ask them, or I suggest, the first thing they do is learn how to work in the computer.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if and I use this is a rather absurd analogy, but if Michelangelo or Leonardo da Vinci were to show up at our doors, arguably two of the greatest artists of all time, we couldn't give them a job because they don't know the computer. You know, sadly, that's true. It's true. I mean, it's an important component of what we do now. In my 25 years with the company, I've watched it go from being just where we do paste up and everything else, all the mechanics, to now everything's on the computer. Even paintings, you can replicate oils and watercolors on paintings on computers. And the wonderful thing about it is obviously you avoid the caustic end of breathing in paint. You know, in the air, when you had the airbrushes and things like that, you breathe in the mist, or you had to wear special masks. Here we go again, folks. This is going to be a real entertaining one here.
Kristen Burlingham says, "Thank you so much. I love doing this with my 5 and 7-year-olds."
Oh, wonderful. Is your screen that large? Oh, here we go. Wow, look at this. They just appeared magically out of the air. This is magic.
Chelsea says this was amazing. Brought me back to the Animator Academy days.
Those were fun. And look at this. I must have scared the paper when I showed the scissors. Right away, it starts to work.
Kat says even your signature is magnificent.
Thank you. Art. And so I'm going to set these over here to the side. And so what we were thinking about, and this is discussing this with Lou in the beginning before we even came on the air, that we can go ahead and either we can auction these off, and the monies would go for the children of the program of the wonderful program that's not Give Kids the World. It is
Make-A-Wish. Well,
Make-A-Wish.
But Give Kids the World's involved because usually when they come down here, they go to Give Kids the World. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We used to draw on the weekends, Friday nights, once a month at Give Kids the World, and it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. In fact, so wonderful. I just heard from a father 20 years ago. We drew for his family, and his wife didn't get to get an illustration at that time. And he's living up in South Dakota, and he found me, and he wanted to know if I was still there, and sure enough, so he asked if I would do a Minnie Mouse for his wife so the collection could be complete, and I did, and I think it's important, you know. So there you go. That's your first class.
Show me the Walt.
Yeah.
Show me Walt.
Oh, that's a little tidbit. Yeah, that's a good thing to do.
We were talking about Ralph before.
Yes, Ralph, in his office, because he was a director for Imagineering, which was called WED at that time, and this portrait hung over his desk, and I used to go into his office every day, and sometimes we'd play chess at lunchtime. I'm not a chess person, but Ralph was a magnificent chess player. I just wanted to spend lunchtimes with him asking him about the company. But this hung behind his desk, and I always admired it. And when we sadly lost Ralph, I was talking with Linda, his wife, on the phone, and she says, you know, Brian, is there anything of Ralph's that you would like to have? And I said, you know, there's really nothing that I want. And I said, but you know, I really did like that picture of Walt behind his desk. And then I didn't even finish, and she said, it's yours. And I mean, I couldn't believe it. So it's got a nice place of honor right here in our living room. And I look at it every day when I come in here, and just it reminds me of Ralph, because Ralph was just like that, you know. And he was just a gracious man. And so yeah, that's a nice little keepsake, and it just hangs there.
Awesome. Well, here I can even do it this way.
What's that?
We can. Oh, look at that! See that?
Yeah. Now we
I can figure out where to stand and hold my. It's like the old days when I used to walk around I used to literally walk around the parks with my laptop before you were able to broadcast from your phone.
Yeah.
I remember walking into the parks with my laptop, and I'd have this cam, and I'd have a little 3G wireless card and a battery pack on my shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
I remember a security guy going, dude, leave your work at home, man. Just go enjoy it. Go ride some rides, would you? I'm like, no. I'm like broadcasting, and there's like 2 people watching. It was a very foreign concept back then.
It's good that I stand behind that logo. Here, there we go. Now, see, the logo actually puts hair on my head. Right? There, look at that. It looks like a hat. Hey, look, that's something you can sell at WDW. Live hat.
You're going to have to make sure I'll send you the link. You have to check out the Box People group and see some of the art that people are sharing.
I would love to see that.
I'm obviously not going to upload mine because I didn't draw, because I know it would have been an embarrassment.
Yeah.
So,
I was going to say a joke, but I'm not going to do it. I got to be kind. This is your show.
Listen, I know what few strengths I have, and I know the many weaknesses, and drawing is something you don't want to hear me sing, and you don't want to watch me draw. But this was so much fun. We have to do this again.
Yes, absolutely.
Who knows? Maybe
if you'll have me back.
We will. Listen, they're going to ask me. I'm going to start hearing every day. When's Brian coming back? Okay. We'll have to get you on that cruise too.
Yeah, we're looking over at you, Maria. Oh, she's waving.
Is that what that was? Was that?
Yeah, Renee too. Yeah, see, Renee. Renee would go in a heartbeat. She would. She's a very good manager. When I had to do 2 appearances on the cruise ship. It was for the Disney Vacation Club, and Maria does not like cruises. But Renee does, and so she would go on the cruises. Of the two that she went on with me. A lot of people thought that she was one of the cast members working on the ship because she organized everything. She said, okay, you go over here and do this. And she took care of me. She took care of me the whole time.
Well, she's awesome. And I can see why. The apple does not fall far from the tree.
You mean Maria's, yeah.
Thank you for opening your home to us and sharing your time and your
pal.
talent and your stories. He's a good man. I've been saying that to you for years. He is a good man, and
I say that about Lou, though, too.
There's a lot of love in this room.
Absolutely.
And not just for the carrot cake that's sitting up there.
Oh, yeah. Did
waiting
you
for
want to share
it. No, I don't. No, that's not. That's for us. That's
Oh.
not. Yeah. Couple of things. Don't forget. Let me see. Don't forget. This week's show is. It doesn't matter if I cover my face. This week's show is 5:59. Thanks to Becky again for joining this week. Also, if you are thinking about coming to my Momentum Weekend Workshop this September, I was feeling, again, very generous and emotional today. I created a sale, a discount code just for you guys. So if you use code WDW, I don't even know how to do this, WDW Radio 100, you'll save $100 off the ticket, and I'll keep that going until August 1st. So if you want to come, you know somebody who wants to come, you can go ahead and here, I'll just do that. You can just share that with your friends. And speaking of friends, you have always been a good friend to me, and I appreciate this more than you know. I know that our friends who are watching in the box definitely had a good time tonight, especially those of you who are across the pond and stayed up super late. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did.
What time is it now? It's 3 o'clock in the morning.
3 o'clock in the morning, yeah.
Wow.
Martin, I know, lasted till about 2:30, and then.
Well, my wife and I are coming over there in October, so.
Excellent. Well, I'll post your itinerary so people can find you.
Phone number.
Awesome. Listen, I love this guy. I appreciate you opening your home to me and my friends, and thank you guys for spending the night with us, for joining me earlier in the week from Gran Destino, which you guys, you need to take your wife to go eat at the Gran Destino. It's beautiful.
Really?
Yeah, the top of the Gran Destino.
Okay, look, she's listening.
It's beautiful. The views are spectacular, and the food's even better. So thanks to all of you, my friends and my extended family, for being here tonight. I appreciate you. Don't forget, if you liked what you saw here tonight, after the show's over, you can go back, watch again, tag, and invite a friend to watch the replay and join us every Wednesday night. I love you guys. I appreciate you too. And so until next time, see ya.